Hello. Now we are going to look at construction 21, which is to construct the centroid of a triangle. So a centroid is one of the centers of our triangles, and we need to make sure we practice thinking about the names of our different centers so that we remember which one it is if we're asked in an exam. So the centroid, it may be helpful to learn, is the center of mass of a uniform triangle. So if this was a block of something that was uniform in density, that didn't change its density throughout, then the centroid would actually give you the center of mass, or the balance point of that triangular sheet or lamina. Mechanically, it is the intersection of the medians, and unfortunately the median is another thing we need to remember. A median line of a triangle is where we go from the midpoint of one side to the far vertex. So if I take the first line that I'm going to draw, the first median I am going to draw of my triangle, I am going to go through the midpoint of AB, and I am also going to go through the far vertex. The far corner would be at C. So my line will go through the midpoint of AB and through C, and that is a median line. And where they intersect, they'll all intersect at the same point, and that point is the centroid. So if we were doing this algebraically, we'd find the midpoint and then get the equation of our line through the midpoint and the far vertex. And we are going to do two of those lines, but all three would go through the same point, and you can pick any two you like. So we are going to get the perpendicular. The way that we are going to get the midpoint of A and B is we're going to get the perpendicular bisector of A and B. So open up the compass so that it goes past the halfway point of A and B, and then we're going to draw an arc. You can draw a continuous arc. The reason I am not is because I want to try and keep everything as neat as I possibly can, and having arcs going all over the place can make things a bit messy. There's nothing technically wrong with it, but it can be neater to do it this way. So bring the compass down, keep the compass at the same size. We're just doing a perpendicular bisector, which is a construction we have used many times before. And in this case, we don't need to draw a complete line. We're not actually trying to get the perpendicular part of this, we're just taking advantage of the bisecting part of this. So make sure everything has lined up very neatly on your crosses, and then we're just going to put a little mark there, little mark here, where we have gone to the midpoint of AB. I can get that out of the way. So that is my midpoint of AB. So I want to put a mark there. So that's my midpoint of AB. My first median line, L1, has to go through that point, and the far vertex go through C. So I'm going to do that. Take my line, and I am going to go through there. Change the color. That one. And I will continue on past there. And that is my line. That is my line L1. So that is my first median line, and I can continue it on out past the triangle as well, but this will end up inside. So I end up with my first median line L1. I'm now going to draw in L2 using exactly the same steps. Get the midpoint of one of the sides and then go through the far vertex. So here I have gotten my midpoint of AC and gone through the far vertex of B. That's my blue line. One thing that's very important to say is that depending on the shape of the triangle, it can look dangerously like this line is supposed to be the perpendicular bisector. It is absolutely not. It is going from the midpoint out to the far vertex. There is no 90-degree angle in these corners at all. Just the way a triangle can be drawn, sometimes it can look close enough to that it can throw us off in the middle of an exam or in the middle of doing a construction. So it's important that we very much consciously tell ourselves the story. This is the intersection of our median lines, and our medians go from the midpoint of a side to the far vertex, and explicitly tell ourselves that story. Otherwise, we can get muddled when we're trying to do the several different versions of a center of a triangle. But where we have our midpoint to our far vertex, where we have those lines crossing each other, and we have our L1 and L2, we end up with our centroid, which is again the center of mass of this triangle if it was a flat uniform sheet. And that is what we need for now.